Welcome to the review of the year 2024. This is Monday morning after the last fights at the weekend. I kind of like doing them just after the last fight, so my voice is absolutely cooked, so you can hear what you put me through. Okay, this is what I have to deal with from shouting at you guys. If you would just all get first minute, first round finishes, that would make my throat a lot easier for Monday mornings. But I'm sure there's a limited shelf life to that, so we'll just have to put up with this. Maybe I should learn some vocal exercises before I start calling on you. Pretty good year, I would say. I think probably our best year, actually. Obviously, we've picked some losses up, but we've picked up so many wins, and all the wins were against, all the fights were against good people. I can't think off the top of my head anyone matched against anyone that was it was a bit of an easy fight here. Everyone was matched up against an opponent that could do something. I've definitely noticed the consistency in training with you guys has been really good this year. And it's been cool to see the growth of little groups. Some people would call them cliques, but I would disagree. I think you still need to have groups within groups. We've got the bantamweight group, they all train together because they're all bantamweights. You guys have all been pushing each other on. The flyweight group, especially towards the end of the year, has really grown, which is cool. And again, everyone just kind of pushing each other. And then we've got the kind of 70 plus, which are probably the smallest group. Those guys working well together as well. Obviously, Adam and Fraser are the two biggest guys. They've been doing extra sessions together, which is great in their own time, showing that initiative. Finn, obviously, having to step up a little bit and go with those guys. I know it's tough to jump in and go with guys who probably outweigh you by a good at least 5 kilos, if not more. Jimmy as well did a bit of that. I know Frank did a few sessions with Adam, so I mean that's cool. So although we do have these separate groups, it's good to see everyone can cross train, and I think the team's as strong as it's ever been, which is really good to see. And you're a nice bunch of people, which is for me the most important thing. I've told Jazz and Jeff before that I don't care if it's the most talented person in the world in the fundamentals group. If he's a dick, he doesn't get up, or she doesn't get up. If you're a dick, you just don't get in, and if you do get in, you won't last. There's been a few people who have kind of really dropped off, not that many. I'm going to chin you in the group chat for it at some point, but get back in and train, get back in and be involved. I'm not saying you have to be in 5 days a week, but get in, get involved. There's a good group of people here to work with, you can be part of something that's really growing and really start to grow legs and push on. So thanks everyone for your hard work this year, whether it's been in training, coming to shows with us, fucking giving us stories and patter on the way up and down to a million times to the northeast that we've been this year. Yeah, everything's appreciated, it really is. So yeah, we're going to do some award stuff. So obviously we're going to do Fight of the Year. That's going to be left up to the team to vote on that. I'll set up the poll once we put this video live. We're also going to do some more Performance of the Year awards. So we're going to do a Knockout of the Year, a Submission of the Year, and a Performance of the Year. I was going to put them to votes, but I think I'm going to be selfish and I'm going to choose. If you don't like it, fucking come get it. We're going to go through, I've narrowed down some candidates for this, and we're going to go through all of them. Hopefully it won't take too long so Stephen doesn't have too much to edit. So, the first thing we'll go for is the Submission of the Year. So the candidates for the Submission of the Year: Fraser's Triangle at the weekend against Elliot McGibbon. Really nice finish. Yeah, really cool setup. Used the guillotine, used that to roll to mount. From there immediately went into the triangle. I was asking him to stay top, and there was quite a cool wee clip of him looking back at me going, "Dean, what's the time? What's the time?" And I was like, 30 seconds, and then he made the correct choice to roll to his back where he felt as though he had more leverage to get the finish. Tough opponent from a good gym with a bunch of big guys to train with, and Fraser dominated that whole fight and a really good finish. The next candidate for Submission of the Year is Frank's guillotine against, I can't remember his name. I meant to look that up before we started this, but fuck it. That wee guy who tried to punch Frank's head off and got tired. Yeah, guillotine, choked him unconscious. Again, it was 20, 30 seconds left in the first round, and I remember shouting over to Frank, like, if you think you've got this, just jump on it, man, go for it. It's 20 seconds left in the round. And yeah, absolutely choked him unconscious, which was pretty cool. After that, Reese's submission win at Cage Warriors, rear naked choke. That's the highest level finish of the team, because it's at the pro level. And most of you guys are amateur just now, other than Reese. So I think Reese has to be in there for that submission. It's at the professional level. It was against a really tough opponent. Reese was coming off a couple of losses there, and it was a real nice finish. And then the final contender is Ellis's rear naked choke against Ethan Wilson in his first title fight. He was down the rounds, told him in between rounds that you need to get a finish here. And he did everything he could. Went for a few ninja chokes, a few dust chokes throughout the fight, but it was really cool. He gave up on that, jumped up on the back, and then I think I was telling him to punch, to be honest. I was asking him to like land some strikes and maybe flatten him out, and that big giant neck that we kept talking about, boom, punched it through, and yeah, choked a very good grappler, choked him out to win that belt. So that was really cool. So a bunch of good candidates there. The winner will be announced at the Christmas Cup. So, knockouts of the year. Not get as many candidates for knockout of the year. It's harder to knock people out in amateur, and maybe we do a lot more grappling, so maybe that's why. So the 3 candidates for TKO of the year are Frank for his TKO of David Pew Pew Stansfield. If you don't know that joke, fucking I'll explain these. Frank took that boy down and beat the shit out of him in about a minute and a half or something like that. Frank came back to the corner after the fight and was like, oh, didn't even really think I was hitting him that hard. And then we look over and the boy had like instant bruising all the way around here. And we're like, we beg to differ, Frank. So that was a real good win. Literally a faultless performance in that fight. So that was a real good TKO. The next contender will be Fraser's TKO of Jake Smythe for the Unity Championship. Again, took that boy down and beat the shit out of him. Hard to land strikes in ground and pound from Mount, and Fraser did a pretty good job. Again, bashed him up, bust his nose, and yeah, just beat him up. But I think the referee maybe had something against Jake Smythe because he took a while to stop that. I think I could have been stopped much earlier, to be honest, but that's what it is. And then the final contender is Adam Thompson for his knockout of Marcus Z, which I don't know if that's how you say his name, at Rise and Conquer. A really good back and forth fight. Arguably, I think he should have knocked him out a little bit sooner, but he kept swinging at him like a nutter and getting caught himself. So that's our candidates for knockout of the year. They will also be revealed at the Christmas Cup. So make sure you're at the Christmas Cup. Okay, final category. Oh no, that's a lie. That's a massive lie. Okay, performance of the year. There's quite a lot of candidates for this. It's quite hard to narrow down, to be honest with you. So there's going to be a bunch of fights in here, and then I'm going to make up my own short list, and then I'm going to pick from there. But I thought there's some fights that really deserved a mention there. Two fights had a kind of similar finish to them. So Dan at Kratos against Daryl Yule, I think his name was, and Frank just at the weekend there against Jacob Wilmot. Both of those fights were even going into the last round. In Dan's fight, he lost the first round, won the second, and the opposite for Frank. In both of those fights, the third round was pretty close, but Dan and Frank were definitely losing going into maybe the last minute and a half, or at least last minute. Dan had slipped on a kick and ended up on bottom underneath, I think maybe side control. And Frank had been taken down again underneath side control. Both of those guys, if they'd stayed there, which would have maybe been the easy thing to do, like, oh, I get taken down, I fell over, can't get out. Both of those guys showed a lot of determination to get back to positions that they could do something or feel the weight of the guy and do something. Dan swept his guy half guard, I think passed his guard and maybe went to mount and landed some strikes, maybe finished up in an arm triangle. And Frank got a cool kind of like bridging sweep from side control, took the guy's back and then hung off his back and just started throwing punches. I think he maybe could have got the choke if he twisted on it, but that level of desire and determination to get out of a shit position and take a losing fight into a winning fight, I think is a real big deal. And even like Ellis did similar as well. I'll cover that more in some detail, but coming back later on in the fight is a real big thing. When things are even, who really wants to get the job done? And those guys did that really well. Adam Thompson had a couple of really good performances. Obviously, he had the knockout against Marcus. That was a kind of, in a way, a similar situation to Frank and Dan, except I think Adam had probably won the first 2 rounds, but he still had to come on strong to get that finish. But I think his performance against Kieran Edwards was a lot better in terms of, it was against a higher calibre opponent. The guy had been in with like Jordan Rutherford, who's like a top amateur in the UK, and gone the distance with him. Arguably, Kieran would have won that fight against Jordan if it was 3 rounds. Adam kind of gave away the first round, defending that takedown, and then after that, like he dominated the next 2 rounds for me, or he landed so much really good strikes. I don't know how one of the judges managed to score it to Kieran. The more I watch it back, the more I'm thinking like, what were you actually watching there? But that was like 2 really good performances from Adam as well, and hopefully get him nice and busy next year to build on that. The next candidate is Reese at Cage Warriors. Again, the highest level of all the team fights this year was that. It was a solid performance from Reese against a tough, experienced guy. There was a lot of pressure going into that fight for Reese. He was just coming off a couple of losses. He kind of rejigged a lot of things, rejigged the way he was training, and he put his trust in myself and the team a lot more, which was really cool for me to see, and it was good to have him in those sessions a lot more, and having been part of the bantamweight crew. And I'm really happy that he got the win. It was a really good performance. He did some of the things that we'd worked on in training. Made some mistakes, as we all do, every time we go out there. A really solid performance against a tough guy, and looking forward to again seeing Reese build off of this now, developing his game to be a lot more dangerous, like hurting people. We all know he's got good submissions, but once you get to a certain level, you have to be able to hurt people to make them want to give up, and that's the level that Reese is going to have to start doing now, like giving people some elbows, punching them, and then give them a way out. So that was really cool. Next fight on the list is Ellis against Ethan Wilson. It was cool to see Ellis grow into that fight. I think it was his first title fight, which is a big deal. I remember Reese's first title fight, he came out bouncing, like the most excited you've ever seen him, and immediately walked into a punch, dropped his knees and got back up and was like, fuck. So it's a different pressure fighting for your first title, and a good title as well, not just a fucking shitty title, a good title and a good show against a good opponent. And there's always pressure fighting someone who you've beat before. It's like, you should be beating him again, should you? So lots of different pressures there for Ellis. Obviously, like, didn't start off super well, a bit slow. Ethan's a hard guy to deal with because he just wants to like close that distance and sandwich himself to you. But I was confident enough that over time, we all know how stubborn Ellis is, that he would wear the guy down. I just didn't think it would take so long. But it was really cool to see him grow and progress through that fight, and especially like 3 started to land a bit more stuff, started to do stuff. 4 started to do a bit more stuff, and like even if he got taken down, would get back up. And then 5, just like it was pretty much one-way traffic. So like I thought that was a brilliant performance to go from looking like this is going to be easy for this guy in a way, if you don't know the fighters, to fucking hell, and then Ellis took the win with a brilliant finish. The last candidate for this is Fraser against Elliott from the weekend. I was tempted to put in Fraser's fight against Sam Hill because he had to come through some adversity in that fight because he got cut with maybe like the first punch that boy threw. But after that, I mean, it kind of feels like it was reasonably plain sailing for Fraser in that fight. Although I'm starting to question myself whether I maybe should have put that one in, but fuck it, I've made my decision now. Fraser's performance at the weekend was it was pretty faultless. He did a lot of stuff that we've been working on in training. He was very composed in there. It was against a good guy from a good gym. In between rounds 1 and 2, sat Fraser down on the stool, and I think I said to him, I don't actually know what to say, mate. Like, that was fine. Just go and do that again. I had nothing to say, and I was like, look, man, just go and do that again. He's going to come out fast, but yeah, Like, it was pretty faultless, and he just dominated that fight from start to finish. So a different kind of performance of the year. Like, if you compare it to Ellis's one, Ellis had to grow into that fight and then get the win, whereas Fraser was just like in control from the start. Yeah, brilliant performance, really good. So that's the sub of the year candidates, the knockout of the year candidates, and the performance of the year candidates, which I'm going to choose because I'm in the corner shouting, and it's my game today, so I'm playing that. But we'll move on to the fighter of the year, which you guys can choose. I used to choose that one, but I think it means more coming from you guys, people that are on the mats with you every day of the week, and yeah, cheering you on. So that's why we do the fighter of the year amongst your teammates. Okay, so let's go through the candidates for fighter of the year, and we're going to talk a bit about each of them and why they are candidates, basically, other than the obvious that they had fucking good successful fighting years. So, candidate number one, the current fighter of the year, Fraser Patterson. Fraser, again, another excellent year, 3-0, 3 title fights, collecting up loads of dust collectors that he keeps in a cupboard somewhere and doesn't even have on display, which I kind of respect, to be honest with you. Don't get too carried away with that type of success, because it's just amateur belts. No one really cares. But good milestones to make. You know, it is an important part of the journey. Got a decision win, a TKO win, and a submission win. So a real nice, well-rounded game. It shows you can go 5 rounds. Shows that he can stop someone with strikes. Shows that he can stop someone with submissions, and that's dangerous, man. That's hard. That's hard for people to prepare for. Like, guys watching Fraser are probably going to look up and think, "Oh, I'll keep him standing," but they don't know that he's got that. He's got that in his toolbox as well as all the fighting stuff, which is obviously we're voting for fighter of the year. For me, other important things are what kind of teammate they are, and I think Fraser's been a real good teammate to people. I always see him helping people, showing people maybe about certain things about technique or whatever. It's helped out Adam quite a lot when Adam was preparing for his fights, coming in at different times so they could get like different types of sparring and things like that. Helping out with the fundamentals guys, I've seen him do that a bunch of times as well, and covering like a couple of classes, which is cool. Helping me corner. At Ellis's fight, he came down to help me corner, and without telling him, I was like, talking to Ellis, I went, "Fraser, anything to add?" And Fraser was like, "Oh yeah, do this thing," and it was on the ball straight away with a nice little suggestion that was get behind the elbows when Ellis was in the front headlock. So came along to a lot of shows, helped out as well, which is cool. And finally, he's fucking a student doing a really fucking hard degree, balancing those studies with his training, which I think is a big thing as well, because it's not easy. I certainly couldn't do it. So well done, Fraser, for an excellent competitive year. You're our first candidate for Fighter of the Year. Second candidate of the year is 2022's winner, Ellis Pilkington. Ellis, again, had a really good competitive year. 3-0, 1 belt, 1 decision, and 2 finishes. Finally starting to put those finishes together, which is a big thing. All his wins before were by decision. Had to fight through adversity. Obviously in the Ethan fight that we spoke about. In his first fight this year against that Dacre Bradley kid, Ellis lost the first round, and he was coming off 2 losses as well, and had to really like pull himself together and like, right, I'm fucking not letting this happen. And again, we already know how stubborn Ellis is. He fucking did everything he could and brought it round and got a pretty comfortable decision win against a guy, again, from a really good gym, who's gone on to win Cage Warriors South East Academy belt, so not an easy feat. And then I had another good win against Rabi and Bata. Different kind of pressures going into that fight, so obviously Ellis was the more experienced guy, so you've got that thought of, oh, I should be winning this fight, but yeah, prepared really well for that fight. I got a really good win. I get a bunch, again, using his grappling. Ellis, we all know Ellis wants to fucking stand up and fight everybody, but all of his fights this year he's won by grappling, so really good grappling this year, Ellis, well done. Being a teammate, definitely been a better sparring partner. We made him take 6 months off after the Jackfoot fight because he was just starting to fight all the time in the gym. Well, if you knew if he sparred with Ellis, it was a square go. And that's really going to put a ceiling on your abilities if you're not willing to give a little bit of ground sometimes and practice some stuff. So he's been much better for that, much better sparring. As we all are, still prone to maybe throwing a little bit too hard, but we're only human. We all like to fight a wee bit, so that's been much better. And also coming along to shows, helping out, being a real good warm-up guy. Did that for Jazz, did that for Stevie, Aggie, done it for Frank as well a couple of times. So that's been really, really helpful. So that means I don't have to get battered every time we go to a show. I've got a warm-up guy. So again, well done Ellis for an excellent competitive year. Our final candidate for the Fighter of the Year is Frank Hislop. Frank hasn't won it before. This is his first competitive year. Frank 4-1 this year, 2 decisions, 1 TKO and 1 submission. So again, nice well-rounded game. He's had a couple of early finishes and he's shown that he can go the distance as well, which I always think is important. And as we spoke about with the performance of the year, he managed to pull a fight back at the end that he was arguably losing. Does have that 1 loss, but he was straight back on the saddle, straight back in the gym and preparing for the next fight. What was really cool for me about that is we had to change the training a little bit because obviously he got stopped in that one. I didn't want Frank to be taking any headshots in the gym, so Frank really trusted me that we could, and trusted you guys that we could set up sparring that would still push him and test him without like any head contact, so he wasn't taking any unnecessary damage. And we let him do head contact literally maybe 2 weeks out from the fight, which is not a long time at all. I feel that was really important to protect Frank, and then he went in and put in a great performance and stopped that guy in like 90 seconds, which was great. Other things about Frank's been an absolute stalwart coming to all the shows this year, even taking a bit of pressure off me and doing some driving, which I fucking greatly appreciate, man. Driving up and down to shows, taking his own car for that as well, which is cool. Been a real good teammate for all the guys. Like I've done a bunch of stuff with Frank and we do a bunch of sparring stuff, and he's always really good at pulling shots so that you're not getting hurt, but still keeping a good intense level of training. That's really cool. And he always sticks about and helps out with the fundamentals guys as well, which is really good to see. I would definitely like to get Frank involved in a little bit more like that. And finally, like, the guy's got a full-time fucking job. He's got a full-time difficult job. Maybe not difficult, I don't know. But he's working shifts, he's working night shift, he's always prepared, he's always got his kit with him, everything is like, yeah, I don't know fucking need to tell you about Frank. He's a good guy, he's really grown into one of the important members of the team this year, and it's really good to have him involved in the group. But I think I've rabbited on enough. I really feel sorry for Stephen, he's going to have to go and edit what this 20-minute video is, hopefully 27? Jesus. Right, good luck, Stephen. I'm going to shut the fuck up. Guys, thank you so much for all your help this year. It's been amazing, and I'm really looking forward to 2025. It's looking like it's going to be busy. I'm going to buy a flat in the northeast so we can all just fucking crash there. Thank you. Boom.